When I was younger, I was always considered to have a really big sweet tooth. My family was super health conscious and still is to this day, so I wasn't really allowed to have things like candy or those traditional sugary treats that a lot of kids got growing up. But when I would go to friends' houses, I would raid their pantries. Even as I got older, I still preferred sweet foods, but I was trying to be healthier. So instead of like Gushers, I would have things like a handful of chocolate chips while I was making dinner, or healthier cereals. My favorite was Panda Puffs with a little panda that's like, but I still constantly crave sugar, and I felt like I was always fighting these cravings. Not to mention I was getting a lot of like common high sugar intake issues, like my anxiety levels were really high from that variable blood sugar level, and I was getting a lot of breakouts, especially like right here around my chin and like jawline. And it wasn't until really like the last few years that I found cures for myself where I just don't crave sugar anymore. I mean, like I just don't at all, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me because I was a sugar fiend growing up. And these tools really built upon one another, and they're super easy to implement, and they are absolutely life-changing. They made it so that not only do I not crave sugar, but if I'm at like a celebratory meal and if I do have a little sugar, it doesn't cause me to spiral and continue to crave more and more sugar. So today I'm going to share with you the 5 tools that help me to really get rid and stop my sugar cravings for good. And today's video is sponsored by Kettle and Fire. More on them in a bit. Okay, the very first thing that I did that had a crazy big impact was I just stopped eating as much sugar. The more sugar I ate, the more that I craved. And physiologically, this makes sense because when we eat a lot of sugar, it causes our blood sugar levels to go really high. High blood sugar levels are super dangerous for our body, so to compensate, our body pumps out a ton of insulin, our storing hormone, to quickly bring it back down, but it tends to overcompensate and fall below the baseline of what our blood sugar levels should be. This causes like a panic mode for our body that then causes us to crave the very same foods to bring our blood sugar back up. So the major things that I cut out and stopped eating on a daily basis to stop that roller coaster ride were things like protein bars, daily handfuls of chocolate chips, and chips in general, which people don't think about refined carbs as being a sugar craving, but ultimately they all break down into sugar in the body. So even craving things like chips or bread can be from that same sugar craving. And the less sugar I ate, the more stable my blood sugar levels got and the less that I crave sugar. Also, I had the side effect that my anxiety levels started to improve because I wasn't getting those really big spikes and falls in blood sugar levels, because low blood sugar can cause an increase in our stress hormone cortisol that can also cause increased anxiety. So that was a nice side benefit as well. But this alone would not have done the trick without the next few tips, especially the second one, which if you guys are not new to my channel, you've heard me say this a million times before, and it's because it is that important, and I will keep saying it until everybody's doing this, but it's to eat more protein. All of these tools that I implemented to stop my sugar cravings really build upon one another, but this is kind of the rock and foundation. Protein has this nearly magical effect on our brain and our body, where when we eat enough of high quality sources, it literally shuts off hunger and tells our brain that we're not hungry and we don't need to keep eating. And sugar cravings often tend to kick in because our body didn't get enough of things like protein to feel satisfied, so it's looking for a fast source of energy, which is sugar. And getting adequate protein tells our body we don't need those hits of sugar, we're good, we're satisfied. Even when I was in my undergrad degree, when I was studying nutrition dietetics, I didn't realize how little protein I was getting from high quality sources to reap those benefits of preventing sugar cravings. And then once I learned more about the DIAS score and high quality protein sources, and I started changing up my meals to be represented by these high quality protein sources and enough for my body's needs, things like Greek yogurt and cottage cheese and chicken and grass-fed beef and eggs, man, the change was just night and day. It is one of those tools when as soon as you implement it, that same day, if it's done right, you won't crave sugar. It's nuts. But it is crucial to know how much you actually need for your body, because it's not going to work if you aren't eating enough for your body. The amount I need is a lot less than what my husband needs. If he were to eat the amount of protein that I needed, then he would still be craving sugar because he didn't get enough. So I do have a video where you can calculate your protein needs. It's only 3 minutes, really easy, and this is so important. So make sure you check that out. I'll have it linked right up here. Now, another tool that's similar to using protein and actually helps to build upon this protein tool is adding collagen or things like bone broth alongside your protein, especially when you get your collagen from high quality sources like today's sponsor, Kettle and Fire bone broth. Because there's actually research showing that when you combine collagen rich foods like bone broth with other complete protein sources, like let's say beef, that it actually helps to further enhance satiety and further prevent hunger than just the protein alone. So if you really are struggling with sugar cravings, this one can help to essentially double down down on those protein perks. And Kettle Fire is a super high quality bone broth company. I just realized my dad joke, get it? Anyway, they slowly simmer the bones that they use so they're getting as much collagen out of those bones as possible. And they come in these really convenient containers because yes, you could make your own slowly simmered 24-hour cooked bone broth, but I don't always have time for that. So being able to go and just grab these containers of bone broth that you know are going to be packed with collagen to help promote satiety and still make your meal taste great is a convenience factor that I'm all on board with. I like to use Kettle Fire in my various soups and stews and chilies, or I'll even put it in my sauces as well. In fact, I've shared a little while ago my pumpkin sausage pasta recipe that uses bone broth within the sauce. I'll have that recipe linked down description below. It's amazing, and also uses Kettle Fire in the sauce. Right now, Kettle Fire is offering my viewers 20% off their high quality bone broth when you use code AUTUMNBAITS at checkout. You definitely want to make sure you take advantage of this because this is such a great tool to help amplify your meals and help prevent sugar cravings. So I'll have that link and that discount code down description below. Okay, the third tool that really helped me to stop my sugar cravings is to really focus on sleep. And I'm talking about quality, not necessarily quantity. Around the same time that I was focusing on improving my sweet tooth, I was also focusing on improving my anxiety levels, which interestingly, they have a lot of similar tools. Because from what I found, poor sleep actually increases our hunger hormone ghrelin, which also influences our cravings and causes us to crave more starchy and sugary and fast sources of energy. Which again makes sense because if you're tired, then you need a hit of energy from something. So the tools I used during this time to improve my deep sleep, which is the more restorative sleep, was turning off all phones and TVs and laptops 30 to 60 minutes before bed. This one is huge. If you're not doing this, then you really should apply this tonight. Going on a really short walk outside before bed helps to expose my eyes to darkness, which helps to produce melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. Definitely no sugar before bed. So if I was having some type of dessert, it was going to be something that was a low sugar option, like my homemade 0 sugar whipped cream with berries, because I didn't want to get those blood sugar spikes and falls that would wake me up in the middle of the night. Low blood sugar in the middle of the night just causes our body to produce cortisol, which causes us to wake up. And then not having any type of caffeine after 12 p.m. I'm pretty caffeine sensitive. Some people can go about 2 p.m. and be fine. I needed to cut it off at 12. Okay, the fourth thing that I did that made a really big impact was switching from high sugar to low sugar fruit and just really eating a little less fruit in general. I mean, don't get me wrong, fruit can definitely be a great low sugar option to add into your smoothies, to your Greek yogurt bowl, cottage cheese bowl. But so many people, myself included at that time, use really high sugar fruits and use a lot of them. Just because it's coming from fruit doesn't mean it doesn't contain high amounts of sugar. Especially back in college, I used to eat 3 to 4 dates as my dessert after dinner. And keep in mind, dates have 16 grams of sugar per one date. So I was almost getting 80 to 100 grams of sugar just from those few dates I was eating. I would also add a full banana plus other fruits plus things like honey into my smoothie. And I used to snack on things like dried fruit, which are just really concentrated forms of sugar. Plus a lot of dried fruit tends to be sweetened on top of that. So instead I stuck to low sugar fruits in their whole form. And if I do have fruits that are higher in sugar, I stick to just smaller amounts. So instead of a full banana, I have a half a banana. Instead of a full pineapple, I have a half a cup of pineapple. Okay, the fifth thing I did that really helped was eating more fat. This paired with the protein really is a game changer for satiety and preventing cravings. Because when you decrease your intake of processed and refined foods or added sugars or just even fruit, you need to replace it with something. Otherwise, you're just going to be hungry. And fat, just like protein, helps to raise our satiety hormones and helps our brain to know and understand that it's full and satisfied and doesn't need that fast source of energy. So I started adding things like olives and pumpkin seeds and full fat cheeses and nut butters into my meals throughout the day, and I felt so much more satisfied and I didn't even crave sugar, let alone snacks in between my meals. I also opt for full fat dairy products with my Greek yogurt and cottage cheese, and it's so much more delicious that way anyway. From these changes, I'm full, I'm not overly full, I'm not feeling bloated, I'm just satisfied, and I don't feel like I need to keep eating, and I definitely don't feel like I need to have some chocolate after dinner. When you apply these principles, it is crazy how the body adapts. In fact, you can check out an example of what I eat in a day and how these principles apply with this video next. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. Come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.